Good evening, people. Welcome to episode 2 of Thoughtful Chats with HinduDad. How you guys doing this week? And Vish, how are you?
I'm good, bro. How are you? I'm good.
I'm excited to be back on air, man. Like we took an unexpected break. I think Barv and I both decided that, do you know what? Like ever since our kids were born, we've just been constantly on the grind. It's been a
Yeah,
difficult year last year. Obviously, it hasn't been made any easier at the beginning of this year, but we kind of felt we deserved a break. We kind of felt like the family needed and deserved our time and attention. So unexpectedly, we just made the choice to take 2 weeks out.
yeah. But I think that's important, though. At the same time, it's important to like have some me time and spend time with the family and just disconnect from all of these things here.
For sure, man. Like it's definitely needed. It was great to spend that time with like my wife and Jaden, and obviously mum and dad have been here as well. So it just gave us chill out time. And you know what? As a creative, like it's very hard to give yourself chill out time because you're always like, do you know what? I got this idea. I want to action that, or I want to do this, or I've got to do that. Or
Yeah,
catch up on your week's work that you didn't finish. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
How was your first Christmas with Jaden?
you know what? Christmas was weird this year, man. Like
Yeah,
I can't say it felt like Christmas, but the fact was like if you like in the house on Christmas Day, like it was just chill. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
We
I hear
don't
you.
like generally we get together every year with like a big group of us. There's probably about 30
Squad. I know. Standard.
everyone brings a dish and all sorts. And one thing we don't really traditionally do in our house is have like a roast. Do you know what I mean for lunch? So
Yeah.
this year was one of the first years where we've actually had a roast on Christmas, which is fantastic. Fully enjoyed it.
Oh
What did
wow.
you
So well, I just got together. Well, we just basically just got together and we had some nice traditional English food and stuff like that. So it was all nice. But normally, similar, same as you, we have squad. Like there's about a good 15 of us that get together, right? And it was sad because it was a tough year, and just to be able to, I feel as Christmas is always one of those times where it's like Diwali. We didn't even really celebrate Diwali as well, but like just to be able to see everyone's faces, yeah, and just catch up, like with my nephews and that, see how they've been, and see how my aunts and everyone are. Like it's just nice, isn't it? But I guess such is life. We gotta keep on rolling with the punches with everything that's happening in the world right now.
That's what I'm saying, man. That is what I'm saying. So, what did you get for Christmas, man? Anything good? Anything you want to share?
I didn't. You know what? Actually, I got a book. I forgot the name of the book as well. How bad is that? That's bad. I forgot. It's actually a good book as well, but I forgot, and I was really happy with that. That was my best gift, I guess. My sister tried to buy me like a jumper, and my mom tried to buy me a jacket. But I tell these guys like, I'm one of those people just like don't buy stuff for me in that sense because I'm so particular about the stuff, my fashion and everything, right? It's hard to shop for me, so to say it, and I don't want to be ungrateful, but yeah, like it just happened. Like, my sister brought me this really nice jumper. Don't get me wrong, it was like it fit. It was some really nice night jumper from Korea, but like if it was plain, I would have worn it all day. But she has to be. I think she brought it because she liked it. Because that's her style. Like she had.
She's like, I'll give it to him, but I'll take it back.
Oh man, like, trust me, I wouldn't put it past her, but like it had some like tiger print on it, right? And I'm like, it's too loud, like it's not me, and I had to be honest today. But I got a book. The book that she got me was really nice. So yeah, man. Christmas was a bit of a weird one this year, but it's okay.
Did you do like any Zoom calls on Christmas Day and things like that?
I feel bad. Do you know what? During the first lockdown, we did a lot of Zoom calls with the rest of the family, and I think I need to shout them because, like, I do miss them. And we've not done any Zoom calls. We've just not got onto like we were using House Party and having games via Zoom chat and all sorts during the first lockdown. And you know what? We should have organized something, but everyone's like kind of all over the place, so it's just the way things are at the moment, I guess.
I got a question for you, bro. What was New Year's like for you? Because I know your clan on New Year's like to party hard, right?
Yeah, well, not my family, as so to say. Well, but like my squad and the people that I roll with, yeah, we're always out. But it was a chill one. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I spent it with my family. Like that's it. I didn't really even go out. I don't think I was just there. and it was like 12 o'clock, and that's it. It went nothing special, man. Nothing.
2-0, man.
Huh?
There was no fireworks to look forward to on TV. It kind of looked a bit like sad. Do you know what I mean?
Bro, it's just another day. Like, as far as like, there's so many things happening in the world right now. For this year, I wasn't even that bothered. Like, it wasn't even. Normally, I'm like, yo, I want to plan something or do something, or be in a rave or whatever. Like, I want to be somewhere, you know, or just with around people that I love, you know. And this year it was just one of them where I didn't even care. I had no care for it. Like, I'm like, 2021 just come already. Do you know what I mean? But I feel as if it's just going to be more of 2020, even worse. But like, you know, we can see how we started already. To be fair, if you've been watching the news, it's a bit crazy. But
school kids going in, and then they're like off for what, another 6 weeks minimum, right? So
forgive me, man. I've not even had a. Do you get what I mean? My trim, my beard's all over the place at the moment.
Like, don't get me wrong, I wear a hat every week because I've been growing my hair, but at the moment, I'm just embarrassed to take the hat off.
No, man. See, I don't have that issue so much because my hair's just long, so I tie it up. But my beard, you know, like.
I'm not gonna lie, I did trim it up last week and it looked all right, but
I think I need to learn. Do you know what? I think I need to learn. I've always been told that I spend way too much on beard trims, and I do, to be fair. I'm not going to disclose how much I spend on trims annually, yeah? Because people just look at me like I should be ashamed of myself, right? But it's just one of the things that I treat myself, hey, like, it's just my thing. But yeah, I think I need to learn how to do it myself. I've got some clippers. Maybe I might give it a go.
That's cool though, man. It's not easy, man.
Especially it's not. But for me, the thing is, if I could just put these lines back in, yeah, it looked fresh. I look nice. But I
need a cutthroat, man.
I've got a cutthroat.
Yeah. Do you trust yourself with it?
No. So I was testing it out the other day when I went and found my cutthroat because I'm thinking, you know what, I'm gonna have to do this on my own. And yeah, I tried it and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get the line straight or, you know, I could just botch everything up completely. So I'm going to leave it be until I can kind of help it.
Maybe grooming products on offer at the moment on Amazon, though.
Really?
Yeah, of course, man. Everyone's locked down. No one's got a barber in sight. So
no, I'm going to make a few calls. But I'm not going to disclose anybody's names or anything. But I'm going to make a few calls to see if I can make it happen. I'll pay you double. But yeah.
Wow. I got a great Christmas present this year. Completely unexpected.
Talk to me. Go on. What did you get?
Bro, my wife bought me a car.
No way.
Yeah, she bought me a car, man. Blown away. Like, obviously, we needed to upgrade the van. Like, Yugas coming in because of London and all sorts. So it's becoming difficult. But, mate, it cost me 30 quid just before I step out of the van when I go to central London, man. It's just not worth it. Do you know what I mean? Especially if they're filming. It's an added cost to a customer and client and all that.
Yeah.
It's worth it, man. So I've been looking for a car for a little while. I've always said to my missus, like, before, you know, the middle of this year, we need to change the van and get something. Last week I found the car, and luckily I collected it on the day that Boris made the announcement to say that it's a complete national lockdown, because if I didn't collect it on that day, then I wouldn't have it now.
Oh man, do you know what? You got lucky, bro. Like, I feel as if the lockdown is like a huge inconvenience, and I feel as if it's not. I'm gonna be quiet. Let's not. Let me not air my opinions on what's actually happening in the world right now, because I'm getting in trouble. Like, yeah, I have to be mindful. I even got told off. Like, I got a show on radio, and one of the station managers rang me and said, "Look, Vish, you can't say this." I'm like, "All right, cool." Like, I already said it at this point, yeah. And I don't know if they got official complaint or what, but they just said I can't say weed on. I wasn't even talking about it in a negative aspect, right? But there's so much censorship, bro. I'm getting censored everywhere, so I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm gonna be quiet until we talk about, obviously, today's topic, because I'm excited to talk about that, to be fair.
So tell us then, what's today's topic, bro?
Today we're going to be discussing the Yugas. So obviously it's a continuation from when we were speaking about the Vedic text and the scriptures, and how we weren't really familiar with them, and we're not really taught about them, even though they're a core fundamental of our culture. I don't want to say religion because it's so much of a way of life, right? And it's a teaching, more to say. Yeah, it's knowledge, in it.
Like, when you told me about the Vedas, I was like, rah. And then you come back and you've got the Yugas, and I'm like, what?
bro, because they're so, this is what I mean, but they are so scientific and there's so many levels to it. And it's like, all of this has just been dismissed. Like when we're taught about culture, right? And we're taught about, when we go into RE, like we said last time when I was on there, like it's a little bit airy fairy when it comes to our cultures. That there's, oh, they have an elephant god and they have a monkey god, and you know,
it's not very clear, isn't it?
It's made to be like a fairy tale, but they don't understand the significance and the stories behind those things. And we're not even taught, and we're not taught the actual fundamentals, which is like the Vedas and the Upanishads and stuff like that. And this is only through me being intrigued and curious that I stumbled across this, and then now I've had the opportunity to share it with people, which is amazing. And that it was really nice to have such great feedback from everyone that was tuned in on the last episode. But there's so much more. Like that was just the tip of the iceberg. Do you get what I mean? Like it was just, that's where it starts.
So tell me then, like the Yugas, what does it mean itself, Yugas?
Excuse me, sorry, I'm just sipping my tea at the same time. So the Yuga, to break it down, is like a non-linear time cycle. So basically it's like cycles. So it's a metric that they measure time in, so to say. Like, you know how we have years and then we got BC, AD and all of that. So they have Yugas which they break down. And effectively, then they have another metric called the kalpas, right? So like the kalpa, I've had to write it down because it is a bit complex, right? So
I'm not gonna lie, I did a little bit of research into this as well, and when I saw that, I was like, whoa,
it's mind blowing. It is mind blowing, right? Okay, so because everything is scientific, right? And listen, we get told in school that humanity came about around at X period, right? And then we had dinosaurs or whatever. But according to this science, right, and it usually is on point, hold on, this dates way further back. Do you get what I mean, right?
Yep.
And I feel as if it's a significant piece to the puzzle, which is brushed under the rug, and we just don't even talk about it. Like, hold on, we should really be discussing this. This is a vital piece of information, right? And especially seeing as like
being Hindus, but it's relevant in the world context. Like no matter what faith you are, it is relevant.
Exactly, and it's more so to say that these time cycles and everything is scientific. Like I said, the Vedas are scientific. It's not just mumbo jumbo put together. It is factual. You know, they use it. They use the ecosystem, the stars, astronomy, and astrology to predict and explain. You know, where they get certain things from. Like for example, with the beads, they have 108 malas, right? And the significance of that is because there's 108 cycles where from the earth to the sun, and then from the sun to the moon, or from the moon to the earth, or something like that. Like it's all explained. It's all scientific. It's not just the same way that the pyramids were built in such a way where when you do the math and you do all like, you know, the Pythagoras theorem and the circumference and all of this very stuff or whatever, it calculates the speed of light. Bang on, like the measurements. So they knew what units to create it at such a grand scale for you to use them same digits and numbers or whatever to do. When you do the math, it actually calculates the speed of light. Bang on. So how did they, you get what I mean? And that was,
they know that thing to work it out.
Yeah, and they say obviously they're portals or vortexes, whatever, but it just goes to show that how advanced civilization was. I mean, we think we're advanced, but hold on, we can't replicate what they did. So how advanced were they, you know? And so for this to be ancient knowledge and then not being touched on, right? And have so much proof in terms of when you do the science behind it, it's proven as factual, you know, when you compare some of the things that they say in the scriptures. But one of the metrics is a kalpa. So you got the yugas, which are the cycles, and then you have a kalpa, which is the metric to measure time. And now a kalpa, for example, is 1 day of Brahma. So effectively, they have the Holy Trinity, which is spoken about amongst most religious texts. And the funny thing is, with all religions, they coincide in some place, somewhere. Yep. They actually merge, and they are talking about the same things, just slightly in a different aspect, but more or less the lines are the same.
What blew
Right?
my mind, yeah, was in one. Do you say it was called Brahma? Yeah.
Brahma. What? So yeah. So one kalpa is one day of Brahma.
Yeah. So break that down though. What is one day of Brahma? Because that was mind blowing.
So effectively the rishis are the scholars that brought us the Vedas, right? And they understood the teachings of the Vedas, right? And when you understand the teachings of the Vedas, you attain a certain enlightenment, which is called Brahma, so to say. Yeah. So we have the Holy Trinity going back to that. We have Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, yeah, which is the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer. So these are our three pillars, right? Obviously, Shiva being almighty and all great. But Brahma is, so to say, the creator of, like, you know, everything, like all birds, trees, and like he painted and created this world or this existence. Yeah. And that's to just personify it because it's so much more deeper, right? It's on an energetic level, right? So when you attain that enlightenment, you achieve the state of Brahma, so to speak. Okay. So one kalpa is one day of Brahma. So just, and that is 4.32 billion years will equate to one Brahma. That, you get what I mean? And that's one cycle. Sorry,
Mad.
you were saying?
No, I'm
Yeah.
saying that's mad. Like to think that, and then you've got the Kolpas, which is an extension onto that.
So the Kalpa, so you have obviously the Yugas, and then you have the Kalpa, which is like another measurement, which is then one day of Brahma, which is 4.32 billion years, right? And then you have a Mahakalpa, which is 100 years of Brahma. And that's like 311 and 40 trillion years or something like that. Crazy. It's just ridiculous to see that they were dealing with these timescales.
And then you think, like, are we really getting factual based information of what we're learning in schools?
Well, yeah, the academic system don't teach us free thought, does it? It teaches us how to fit into a society. But don't, bro, because I would digress. You know how I get. Like, I've been saying this for a long time, like. But going back to obviously the Kalpas and the Mahakalpas, right? So Brahma is effectively the creator, and they say that one cycle is 4.32 billion years, which is mind-blowing. Wouldn't you say? Like really, these are the figures that they're dealing with. And like, so it just goes to show how profound the text and the scriptures are, because it's not on a minuscule level. They're talking for eternity, basically. They're trying to give an explanation of everything in existence.
It's crazy. So in the Yugas, there's 4 Yugas, right? So
yeah,
break those down now.
So you have the Kali Yuga, and then you have the Dwapara Yuga, then you have the Treta Yuga, and then you have the Satya Yuga. Okay, so they're the 4, but how it's also broken down in like time scales, which I'll go when I go into each of the yugas, right? And we talk about what they consist of and why they've been broken down as such, right? I'll explain the time scales and how long each yuga is said to have lasted according to the text. But essentially the breakdown of it is it's the Iron Age, which, or say the Dark Ages, yeah, okay. Then you'll have the Bronze Age, the Silver Age, and so to speak, the Golden Age,
Okay.
which we're not really taught about or explained what any of these are or what these concepts are as well, right? Because they're so beautiful, but yeah. So that's essentially that's the breakdown of it, to say that these are the times that we're living in, and they're all cycles, right? Which each cycle represents a shift in consciousness as well, as a whole, as a large, as us as people.
Yep. So let's start from the beginning then. Where do you want to go into first?
Let's do it in order, because like I think
I'm sure specific format to deliver your findings, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I kind of like, I want to do it from the dark ages. I want to, because I want to dive into it a little bit and talk a bit about it as well, right?
Yep.
And then I know that obviously we're always going to have like banter, or we might digress, or we might talk about whatever else in between. So like essentially, I kind of wanted to just touch on them and then explain what was happening during these times. But I don't want to kind of just rush through them. But I thought, let me go backwards, because for me, the age that I resonate with the most is the Satyug. And I think that was the most beautiful time where we were alive. And who knows, because I believe in reincarnation, I feel as if it was possible to even, like, because we're souls, etc., we could have been present in those days. Do you get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that feeling there is like, it's a different understanding of life. And
Okay.
I'll break that down further, because you'll get the gist of it, and how it's scary how real all of this information is, and how it relates to the time that we're actually living in.
Okay.
It's scary to think, okay, so that's why it's so profound, because this text was written thousands of years ago, right? And we only came across it as and when, right? But as we've done that, and then we dive a little deeper into it, how did they know that this was going to be happening? And it's actually breaking
how true and factual it is, though, isn't it? Like,
powerful, right?
Yeah, man.
Excuse me, sorry. I'm gonna have my tea at the same time, innit, before it goes cold, right? But I wanted to start with the Kali, right? So the Kali or the Kali, or however you want to call it. Now, this is the shortest Yug, okay? Fortunately, right? Fortunately, but I'll tell you what. Why don't you take a wild guess? How long do you think the short? How long? Because given that I gave you the day of Brahma, right?
So basically, like, I don't remember in numbers, right? But bear in mind, I said like an hour before we started this show, I thought I might as well verse myself a little bit, so I've got a little bit of insight. And tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it said that it is a quarter of a Brahma.
Satyu.
Oh, I've got it wrong already then.
Yeah, like it's a quarter of the virtue exists, but it's, so to say, it's 432,000 years,
which in itself is crazy.
But it's the short, and that is the shortest
one. Do you know what I mean?
But that also that serves a purpose as well, right? And there's so many stories.
And again, like I just want to make the point again. So the Kali Yuga is the Dark Age, yeah?
Yeah, that's the Dark Ages.
Okay, so let's talk about that then. Relevance
to what we're going through right now, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, the Dark Age is basically, essentially, it is the shortest Yuga, which is good, because it's a lowering of our vibration and disconnect from spirit and consciousness itself. So although we know this other thing exists, we're still in this time period here where we're
our focus is in other areas.
Essentially, yeah. So we indulge in materialism, egotism. Genuine people rarely exist. Like, you know, that's just a fact. And like, you know, people are always out for themselves, but you won't see somebody that's so kind and like, you know, selfless, like genuinely would help somebody and go out of their way. Like, this was just standard issue in certain time periods. But in the Kali Yuga,
the easiest way to put it into context is social media, bro.
That's one of the devils itself. You already know, but we have to use it as a tool, right? But I'm scared for the generation to come, because we got lucky. We got so lucky at the fact that we got technology at an age where we were in adult essence. So we got smartphones at the age of 18 or so. So we were grown at this point, and we formed the opinion. We were allowed to, you know, become our own person, so to say, to a certain extent anyway, before we were being manipulated without knowing. And the fact that it's down to everything from the sound of your message tone is designed to make you feel a certain type of way. So you pick up your phone, or it releases dopamine. Like, it's horrible to see how it's just detaching us, and the people that are obviously in control of these things. And like, I'm guilty of it, you know, like we're the modern day slaves, but we're all guilty of it. It's hard because
And do
we
you know what I'd ask you and the audience to do, bro?
what
So again, after having watched this little clip an hour ago, while I was having my dinner, I thought to myself, do you know what? Let's see how true this is. Yeah. And I went into my phone, went into screen time, and I thought, how long have I spent on social media in the last couple of days? It's scary, man. Like,
how long did yours come up to?
bro, just yesterday it was about 2 hours on Facebook alone. I looked at my wife.
What was your screen time in general?
Let's have a look. Like, to be honest, it's not as bad. I try and do a lot more of my stuff on my computer, but like my wife, she uses her phone for everything, like everything.
I'm pretty much the same.
If we look at today, for example, so far I've had screen time for 2 hours and 51 minutes. I've had 53 unlocks and 457 notifications.
That's good.
It must be in comparison to some other people, but dude.
Bro, at one point, right, where we was in lockdown, I think mine was something like 8 hours or something like that. It went to, and I just got rid of my phone. I started using a basic trap phone.
I had to look at my wife's as well. Yeah, her screen time yesterday was about 7 hours. Do you see what I mean?
It just goes, it scared me to the point where I was just like, I got a basic phone. I try and manage it a lot better now, obviously, right? But it is part and parcel of everything. But this is what we talk about. Like, it's the disconnect from spirit. We're not alone with ourselves. We're not meditating. We're not conscious. We're not aware. We're not present. We're not present because everything else is an illusion. You know what I mean? The present moment is the only moment that actually exists and counts. And this is philosophy across the board, like not just about the Vedas or Hinduism or a thing. It's just general philosophy of life. Is that all we have is the present moment? And we often throw that present moment away. We're not present. We don't even enjoy, like, people don't even enjoy it, like when
yeah, and nobody's watching a wedding because they all got their phones out filming or taking pictures to send onto social media.
Yeah, or when they're at the concerts and stuff, they're not actually there enjoying the concert. They're too busy trying to get footage of the concert, you know.
To themselves out and to get accepted.
Yeah, and like, you know, for the likes or whatever, like, oh, I was here, like feeling the need to feel to show everybody. But like, again, we were lucky, right? We're in a generation where we got it at a later stage.
Yeah.
Whereas those children, and like even your baby, you'll find when it comes to that time, they're going to be constantly bombarded and surrounded by it. And you will have to make a choice as to how much screen time you let them have, how much time you let them spend on video games, everything. Like, it's just everything plays a part. And all of these things are disconnecting us from our actual true nature and true essence of life and spirit and soul. And it's often like spirit and soul and intuition was made out to be some airy fairy, like, you know, oh, do lally if you believe in it, right? Almost, yeah. But it exists and it's very true and very real, and you'll experience it yourself at some point in your life, whether you want to believe it or not. There will be moments in your life that you might be walking down somewhere and you were supposed to go left and something just told you, no, I don't want to go left, I'm going to go right, or I'm going to go straight. And then later you read that, you know, if you drove down that place, there was an accident there, or, you know, some people might have been waiting for you there, or anything like, and that's intuition. It can't be explained. And it doesn't need to, I don't think. I don't think everything needs to be logically explained, in it. Some things just can't. And that is life, innit? And that's the beauty of life. But this is what the Kali talks about, is that we have that disconnect and we don't have that understanding, and people are ignorant. Ignorance is bliss. That's why you want to follow these celebrities and be like these people, when, you know, you won't value true connections and true meaningful people. Like, you know, you'd rather value what people think or what the opinion of other people are. Like, people don't even date people for the sake of whether they're in love or not. They want to make sure that they have that picture perfect Instagram picture, or what their friends will approve of it, or whatever. It's nothing to do with them or their actual, whether that person actually cares about them or not. Do you get what I mean? Like, it's horrible, man. But this is the Kalyug, isn't it? This is where people are in egotism, savages. There's a lot of war.
If you think about it, yeah, like, let's go back to our school days, yeah.
Yeah.
You're in school as a child, you want acceptance. You want acceptance from your peers, the people that are cool, the people that everyone kind of like fans around. And all of a sudden, before you know it, you want the trainers that he's got, you want the backpack that he's got. Like, you want to be accepted as cool because you've got those materialistic belongings, right?
Yeah.
But what does that say about you as a person? Not one thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't. This is where people would value themselves. Like, we put our value in things, rather than putting value in ourselves. And like,
value is in their own self and ethics. It's all about materialistic things that they can show and be seen as to be accepted. What society thinks is like cool.
Yeah, and it's sad. I mean, like, as I dive deeper into the Yugas, this is why it's so beautiful, because it will get a better understanding of why things are as such, right? So, like, this is a very, like, it's scary because it reflects also transhumanism, right? How we're evolving as people, because going forward 10 years time, 15 years time, maybe sooner, the agenda of the elites is to definitely introduce technology into us. Okay. The same way they're bringing across, like, what's happening in the world right now. Again, I won't go too much into it, but you know what I mean? It's like, this is the agenda at the end of the day, and you can see that they're confusing the children, and we can't speak out, right? Because some things are considered not to be politically correct, but I say them anyway, right? Because I have no issue. I know that I'm not saying it because of that, but I see something very sinister happening. So that's why I'm being vocal and speaking about these things. It's because as much as I have nothing against the LGBTQ movement or whatever, do you get what I mean? Yeah, like, you see
that movement, but just movements in general. But that was just to name one, right?
Well, no, because this is to relate with transhumanism, and when you make the links and you connect the dots, right? So, and this is just my predictions. I'm not saying, like, in my opinion, but I don't think, it's not that I have anything against them or whatever, but this is what I feel as if there's obviously some form of control at the top coming down, right? And this is a game of chess, clearly. Okay. So with that situation there, the children that are being brought up around technology and that have been brought up with technology, Generation Z, right? When they've got to the age of about 20, so there's not much difference, because I'm like 30, so like 10 years or so, yeah? Okay, so in that 10-year space gap to where they've got to now and where they're at that age, they are confused, right, for some reason. So they don't know what sexuality are, or they're open to both or whatever. Like, like, I don't know, like, why it's a normal thing, right? But I feel as if it's been introduced into the schools without parents realizing, because how much time do you actually spend with your child? And a lot of people take orders, right? But if we stick to the facts, okay, you can feel a certain type of way and there's nothing wrong with it. But it's my problem is when little children that are very influenced and they can be steered into in any direction they want, are being taught information that is not factual. They can feel a certain type of way, but I feel as if they need to be grown before they can make them decisions, as to where they stand with certain things. But they are effectively two genders, and that's it, and that's fact. Right, but
kind of like young influencers who are male that paint their nails but are straight.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that as well. But like, it's the fact that when they're getting babies, right, and then you look at where transhumanism is going, and clearly, like, these are like topics that are interesting because that is where they're going. This is where technology is going. They want to build it into us at some point, right? Which is so unnatural and disconnected from our truth, right? Because people want to live forever and things like that because they're scared of death. But death is one of the most beautiful things there is, because it's our understanding of it that people don't really get or comprehend, So with these children, when they confuse them, and then they're saying, "Oh, I don't know whether they're like, I'm male or female or whatever," then it's closer. It's easier for them to identify as a robot or a transhuman. You know what I mean? Do you get what I mean? It's so much like the lines have been blurred so much, yeah. So now when they do come in 10 years' time to introduce this to people, right? That generation is going to be like, sign me up, because they don't know. They're so lost.
Don't know any different. It's normal.
They're so lost because they've been on their phone the whole time. They've been spending 8 hours a day for 20 years straight on their phone, like a job. Do you get what I mean? You're telling me that's not going to have detrimental effects on who they are as a person and how they see things in life and what their perspective is. And do you know what I mean? Are they going to be easily manipulated? Yes, clearly.
Well,
right?
You think back to when we were younger as kids. Yeah, I think like the saying used to be, "You are a reflection or a representation of the closest 5 people to you." Do you know what I mean? When you're young, that's your parents and your family. As you grow, that's your friend circle.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, some people can lead you out the wrong path. Some people can be strong and take you down the right path. But the fact is, you're always going to be a representation of what you are spending time with.
Yeah, exactly. And if that 5th or 6th person is like a video game or app or technology, like, you have no control over it. Like, they're going to be able to steer your kids in whichever direction they want without you even realizing, and put these ideas into their head and plant the seed to confuse them. So then they don't know. And then they don't know what's politically correct. And then, do you get what I mean? So I can't even comfortably have this conversation with you without feeling as if we might get backlash from people or whatever. Do you get what I mean? I don't want to get you in trouble. And I know that these are not my views. I don't have nothing against them people, but I want to be able to have that open dialogue. And there's so much censorship because there is truth in it. When you do look back, there is truth in it. You know, I appreciate that certain people may feel a certain type of way, right? But I think they're way too young to be making certain decisions about swapping like the whole, genitals and things like that and all of this crazy stuff, right? But in America, I've seen this post on social. They have gender swap day, right? Where the boys and girls dress in the opposite sex.
Really?
Yeah, and they made it out to be some sort of fun thing, right? Where you've got all of these dudes in dresses and things like that, right? And like it's fun, like it's a joke, yeah. Because it's harmless, right?
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. In my day, we do that, but it's on your stag do, and the boys do it to you. And
yeah, that's different, though, isn't it? That's like, this is in school. Do you know what I mean? That's different. The stag do it. That's all fun and games. That's different. This is trying to influence a generation.
I don't even know how comfortable I'd be with my son having to do that in a school.
You don't have to do it. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? It's not compulsory, yeah. So it's there to confuse them. It's just adding more confusion to the mix, and then it's easier for a person growing up in that generation, yeah. So anybody that's grown up around technology to then say, "Oh, do you know what? I identify as a robot, or I'm non-binary. I don't even want a gender no more." It's just easier, The same way that people are being forced into a corner where I feel as if I'll mention it briefly, yeah. But the vaccines, just so to say, that people will be put in a position where they'll be begging for the vaccine because they just want to go back to normality. And they're being so excessive. It's obvious what's happening in the world, and we can't speak about it as well. We have to be censored, isn't it? Right? So I won't say too much on that, right? Because, it's a touchy subject, right? And we can get back to the Yugas. But that's essentially the Kali Yuga is this time here, where it's so self-destructive. It's a disconnect, because when it does come to, say, for example, transhumanism and stuff, we're completely then disconnected from our truth.
Mm-hmm.
And we are the highest form of technology. We just don't understand it. So how can you understand how, like, the most advanced computer works if you don't even read the manual? And we're not being given a manual.
Find out on YouTube, innit?
Yeah, well, yeah, you can, but like, how many people are willing to do? How many people even care?
Bro, the fact is, is like, when we had the conversation of how did I learn video editing, things like that, yeah, well, my answer to you, simple, straight, YouTube, bro.
Yeah, but it's like, how many people are going to YouTube or willing to, okay, I'm not gonna eat meat. I'm gonna meditate for an hour a day, or I'm gonna go out into nature and make these principles of life. I'm gonna live righteously. Yeah. I'm not gonna be ignorant, or I'm not gonna have any snaky motives in me and things like that. How many real people do you know? Bro, the realness is dying. Yeah. Like I already know, I always say this, I'm a last of a dying breed. They ain't cut from the same cloth as me, because people move funny. They move funny when I was growing up as well at the same time, and I never understood it. I've always been real, like, you know what I mean? Like 100 all the way. And there's not many people like that anymore. People always have their own ulterior motives, or they're controlled by ego, or you name it. And this is everything that we're told about in the Kali. That's what the breakdown of it is effectively, is the Dark Ages.
Yep. Okay, so what's the next step?
The next one, so we go into, from the Kali Yuga, we go into the Dwapara Yuga, right? Okay, so I don't know how real this is, because like obviously the Dwapara Yuga now, according to Sadhguru, we're in the Dwapara Yuga. So we're coming to a shift, and we're moving into the Treta Yuga according to him. And I'll point out one more fact as well about the Kali Yuga before we move forward, because I know I kind of rambled on and we digress. So sorry for the viewers or whatever. I do this. Just put it in the comments. Vish, shut up and go talk back about the Yugas. It's cool. I'll see the comments and we can go back to it. But yeah, the day the Kali Yuga was started was a time period when Krishna died.
Tell us what the significance of that is.
So Krishna obviously was. So you have Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Yeah. So Vishnu has been reincarnated many times on Earth, right? And Ram was one of his avatars, and there were so many others, but the two famous ones was Ram and then Krishna. Yeah. Now Krishna obviously was amazing. Like if you read about his stories and who he was and how profound and incremental, like how vital he was and what role he played in society. You know, it's a lot deeper than that. But they say, as the story goes, is that when Krishna left this earth, or this existence, because energy only never dies, you know, it's always transformed, right? So when he left this place here, that is when the shift in consciousness. So do you see how powerful as well that is as a metaphor? If you were to look at it as when his consciousness left this realm or this matrix or this dimension, it was so powerful. Right, he was so powerful that just dividing him from the actual equation lowered the vibration of the entire universe.
Man.
So, do you get what I mean? So we dropped from a frequency of the Dwapara Yuga to Kali Yuga, because it's all to do with vibration, right, and energy. So that's how powerful this man was, like, you know, or this energy or this being or whatever you want to call it was, that the significance of him leaving and departing was that we went completely into a different cycle. Okay. We shifted into a complete different yuga just because this greatness left. But that's why it's quite beautiful. I just wanted to mention that. But obviously we went into the Dwapara Yuga, okay? Well, because I'm going from, effectively it was like, it goes backwards. So it was Golden Age, Bronze Age, Silver Age, then the Kali Yuga. So you go from a very high vibration to a low vibration back to a high vibration. Yeah. But I'm doing it backwards because the Kali Yuga was so relevant to what's happening in the world right now and what we're going through. But the Dwapara Yuga is obviously when consciousness.
Before you step over, just to clarify that. So the Kali Yuga, the vibrations are low. And then in the golden age, the vibrations are high, is what you're saying, yeah?
Yeah, and I'll break down the golden age because it makes sense, isn't it? It's just purity, basically. But I'll get to that. So, but if you look at it from an energetic level and a breakdown, it's like everything is vibration, energy, and being, right? So the whole, it's a domino effect as well. So say if we were all righteous, everyone was awake, the vibration of the earth will naturally change. Yeah, because we would rub off onto one another and so forth. So with the Dwapara Yuga, they say obviously this is now coming up in increments of consciousness is evolving from the Dark Ages. So people are getting a bit more connected back to soul, back to spirit, you know, understanding that, like, so I've made like a little few breakdowns of what's there. So at this point, there was like social classes, you know, the virtue was increased, you know, and there was a little bit of compassion and truthfulness still. This is where we're now going back in the opposite direction. So we're coming back to our truth. And the Dwapara Yuga essentially basically is the step forward just before the Kali Yuga, where, you know, we were living harmoniously. It wasn't that deep. Like, we weren't at war. Like, you know, we were still humans and we lived amongst each other, but it wasn't like savages. Do you know what I mean? Like, before, it was, there's two different levels in it. There's absolutely chaos and Armageddon, and like cannibalism, and you know what I mean, really bad. Like, it could be to that point there, because remember the time scales are like, that was 432,000 years for the Kali Yuga. The Dwapara Yuga is 864,000 years, so it's doubled. So this time scale lasts for a longer period of time, right? Yeah. So it's basically, it's fascinating, man, but it's scary because obviously, according to Sadhguru, he's like, yeah, we're coming out of the Dwapara Yuga and we're going into Treta or whatever. And he's pretty accurate with him. I don't really want to question him because he knows his stuff, if you know who he is, yeah. But it feels as if we're in the Kali Yuga, you know? It doesn't feel like we're in the Dwapara Yuga.
I appreciate that. And like, I'd probably agree with that as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy. So this is how everything was, you know. There weren't as many materialistic issues, but it was coming in. It's like the introduction, isn't it? Like when you kind of first get fed the, like, you know, you get a taste for it. When you get a taste for something, and then by the end of it, say, for example, like, I hate to use this analogy, but just like say drugs or something like that, right? And you become completely addicted to it. So you go from just trying it to a full-on user, right? And that's how the two dimensions are, the two realities and the two yugas. The cycles are crazy. So from there, obviously, we've got the Treta Yuga. Now, the Treta Yuga, I'm pretty sure the Treta Yuga was the Yuga when Ram was in existence. Bro.
You know what? You said it at that point, and I thought, it's sitting right here. I gotta pick it up.
No, man, it's not good, man. You know, this one, the new year, new me stuff.
Dude, all right. Seeing as though you said it, yeah, you say it's good, right? But how many people are still smoking? How many of our elders are still smoking? And how many of them would never go and look for advice on vaping?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So addiction, like you just spoke about, tobacco is something that's very real to a lot of families here.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the fact is, like, last year, hands down, we, like, Bob and I said, look, completely, let's not vape on the show, right? And don't get me wrong, I don't vape around my kid or anything. I don't think that that's the right step either, right?
Yeah.
The fact is, we're now in another lockdown, which is guaranteed to last, I don't know, let's call it 6 weeks minimum, right?
Yeah.
If there is anyone that watches this show that wants any information, advice, or wants us to chat to their elders to give them information and clarity and understanding about how vaping is different from smoking tobacco, but they will still get their nicotine fix in a much cleaner way, which is 95% minimum better for their health, so is less detrimental to their health than smoking, then reach out.
Yo, you heard the man. I'm not going to question it. It's your show, bro. I'm a guest in it, right? So obviously, do as you please, yeah. And you have a valid point, but try telling that to my pops, and he'll be like, "Listen, mate, I've been smoking cigarettes for 60 years. I'm fine."
Get him on the phone to me. I'll help him.
Bro, he don't want help. He's okay. He's one of them guys. And you know what? I feel like I believe him as well, to a point where his body's immune to it. He's been smoking since he was a youth, like a kid, like, you know, heavily as well, and drinking. Yeah. If he was,
but you say that, right? But the fact is, his lung capacity right now is completely to pot.
Whatever that may be, yeah, but like with the men in my family, it's one of them things where if he was to stop, yeah, I feel as if his body's so accustomed to who he is as a person, yeah, that he'll have withdrawal symptoms.
I appreciate what you're saying, yeah, but
like I get what you're saying, but like
you've been smoking like 60 fags a day, yeah, like we're talking like 4 decks, yeah, 3 decks a day,
yeah.
Within 2 to 3 months of coming off of fags and going onto vaping, and literally 100% vaping, their lung capacity is improved, their peak fitness is improved, their breathing's improved, their taste is improved, like their sense of smell comes back. Like the difference in the person is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Listen, I believe you, bro, but you don't know my pop. He's like, let me live. I'm gonna let him live here and do his thing, because I just believe some things, like certain people, it is what it is, and I just kind of accept it. But I get what you're saying, man. And you know what? Like, I'm sorry, bro. I shouldn't have, because I'm digressing. Let me wrap up the show as well. Like, let me finish up the Yugas real quick. But yeah, do your thing. So the Treta Yuga is when Ram was about, right? So that's when obviously the Ramayana and all of that was all recorded. But that time where people became slightly materialistic, and then there were emperors, and there was a few wars. So this is where this is now becoming, from an existence and a society at Satya Yuga, which is just pure consciousness, and everyone's just living in a state of bliss. To come down to where there's rules, regulation, agriculture came in, and all of these things. And now this yuga lasted at 1.2 million years, right? But now what you don't need to keep in mind is this was moving away from union. So the essential thing is, like this in the Satyug, when we were living in the golden ages, right? It's when we were actually one with the nature and the essence of ourselves. So we fully understood who we are and the capabilities. And it wasn't that, oh, I understand and then you don't understand and then next person don't understand. Everybody was on the same page. So we lived and so much more of a harmonious world and environment. There was no lack. Everything was abundant.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was created from the will of the person. It was just a very beautiful time where we understood love, meditation. All of these things were like very important practices, and we evolved as people. The energy around us was more vibrant, more vibrant. It was in a higher frequency. Mm-hmm. So that's to like go from obviously Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga to Treta Yuga to the Golden Ages. Eventually, those were the steps. But you see how the decline happens when we start to bring in caste systems and stuff. Like nobody would, you get what I mean? In the Satyug, nobody is above nobody. Everybody is equal. Everybody is on the same page. Everybody is pure consciousness. It's a very beautiful thing to have lived amongst them times or been present in them times, because they were so powerful, and the life expectancy was 4,000 years apparently.
What? 4,000 years?
4,000 years. I kind of, it makes sense, right? Because think about it. If you're living in complete harmony, why would that not be realistic? Like there is no, you don't turn on the TV and see stress about wars. There's no stupid diseases or anything. Nothing. Everything is abundant. Everything is gravy. It's all gravy, baby. Like how could you not live 4,000 years when everything is all good? You're never gonna stress about money or any of these materialistic worldly illusions. It's pure consciousness. It's pure love. It's very,
because I don't know when it was or who told me, whether I read it or whether it was something that was said to me, but something that came across my path was that within a certain time frame, talking like 10, maybe 20 years, someone made the statement to say that we won't work, but we will all be happy.
In 20 years?
Yeah, something like that. 10, 20 years, some around that time scale. So like the story is that nobody will work. We will all be happy. we will all be fed and clothed and everyone will be equal?
I'd like to think that you might be right in saying that we won't work, but I don't know if we'll all be happy. I feel as if I feel as if there's going to be a collapse in the economy very soon, because you cannot expect businesses to still maintain cost and not have zero profit or income. You know, just their livelihoods being destroyed. They're hard, and they might have spent years to build that business up, you know, and it's been swept from under. We're not talking about any of these things that are actually affecting people that are taking their lives because they don't know how they can provide anymore. You know, there's so many things happening in the world. And I feel as if there's going to be a state fund where it's going to be issued and said, oh, you get X amount. So you're going to get this, everyone's going to get this amount of money. I feel as if there might even be terms and conditions. I wouldn't put it past them to say that you need to be vaccinated. There's going to be
we're bordering into a slightly different conversation now, though, isn't it?
Well, I feel as if, but just going off what you said, yeah, that people in 10, 20 years' time are not going to work and everyone's going to be happy. I just feel as if, no, we're going to see a lot of things pop off, you know. As much as I'd love to see that happen in 10, 20 years' time, we have so far to go as a humanitarian society. Like, you know, we need to be looking out for each other because there's going to be a divide. There's going to be a divide because, like I said, with the Kali Yuga and the Dwapara Yuga is when people are into egotism and materialism and status quo. So they have no understanding of spirit. You know, if we understood spirit on a deeper level, right, and intuition and all of these things that make us human, right, it would be so much of a better world for all of us. But some people are not ready to take that step. You know, it's like people that eat meat. Yeah, we consciously know that obviously we've been fed misinformation, you know, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. Look, each to their own. Look, you know what I mean? I don't judge. There is no judgment. Things will happen when they're going to happen, innit, right? But it's one of them things where I say, like, everybody wants change, but nobody wants to change. And do you know what I mean? And I've only come on this path so far is because what I've had to do is things, it won't sit right with me. If I come across information and knowledge, yeah, and I'm like, okay, whoa, hold on, I'm wrong here. I need to correct my way. Yeah, and I don't correct my way, then and be ignorant, then what's the point? I came across that information and chose to ignore it anyway. But for me, it won't sit right with me. So that's why I had to make them changes, and that's why I'm on this journey, innit, right? But yeah.
Okay, so we're running out of time, but let's get through as much as we can, innit?
No, we're done, bro. Like I did the Treta Yuga and I did the Sat Yuga. I kind of fast forwarded it, innit? But this is what I mean. Hopefully, going to say that there's 4 Yugas essentially. We may and we won't experience the golden age. We won't anyway. Well, we might in a different life, in a different reincarnation. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, but at present, no. And yeah, that's where like that is the point where consciousness and humanity is like, you know, they even talk about these stories where there was like Eden and, you know, Pandora and all of these places where like it was just beautiful. Like it was just beautiful. And what they describe is almost similar to what they say in the golden age. So this is how the cycles work. This is how the yugas work. But it's scary to think that these ancient texts were written over 5,000 years ago and they are pretty much bang on with what's happening in the world at this very present moment in time.
I'm going to use a phrase that you said and started with. It's all science.
Scientific, bro. It's all based on, but it's beautiful because it's all based on astronomy and astrology as well. It's when this planet is in position with this planet and this planet is in position with that planet and when this star is over there, and it's so deep. It's so deep. It's the tip of the iceberg. Everything that I'm saying is nothing compared to how deep and profound it actually is, you know?
So in terms of where you found your research and where you've done your research, if anyone else wants to read up on it, what's the best resource that you can point them to?
They've got one channel that I really watch, which is called the Sanskrit channel. So that's a really good source to go to. Or you guys can just YouTube the information or read up on it. There's books. You can actually buy the Vedas or the Upanishads or whatever, you know. And yeah, there's information out there. If you're willing to put the time into research and read and look into it, it's there, man.
But the one resource that you would recommend is the Sanskrit channel that kind of
Yeah,
sticks to it,
yeah. Definitely. He explained that he's really good. The guy that actually hosts the YouTube, he breaks it down really well, and it makes it easy to digest. But even then, it's still deep. Like when you go into some of the things, man, it's still deep.
Yeah. I guess I've only got one question left for you then.
Go on.
So obviously we did one show last month like this. We've done this one this month. I'm pretty sure we're going to plan another one for next month. Do you have any inclination on what your topical subject would be?
Well, there's so many things, right? So we could go into the Upanishads, we could go into yoga itself, right? What yoga is, what Tantra is, what people think, like, the West has made Tantra into something where it's all sexual. That's the first thing people think of. You get what I mean?
Like it would be quite relevant if we did like the yoga and Tantra. And the reason being is because when we had this conversation offline, the enthusiasm that you came forward with and like the way you delivered the topic was just so passionate that I think people would enjoy following that through.
Well, yeah, it's very common. Like, how yoga is an important part of a lot of people's lives now, right? You know what I mean? It came in and, all of this new age hippie chicks and all of this stuff, yeah? But this was day-to-day practice for us. It should have been. And this was practiced in the Gurukuls, but we were like, robbed of it all. But I don't mind diving a little deeper into it, but I have some controversial views and points on that as well. So
well, look, controversy makes for good viewing, innit? So
I guess
let's talk it through and then let's make a plan. But other than that, I think we are going to have to wrap it up for now, bro.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for having me on the show, as always, man. I really appreciate it, honestly. And I hope the viewers found some sort of use to the information and enjoyed the show, man.
Yeah, man, definitely. This form of enlightenment is going to be coming forward. We're going to try and make some more plans. And as much as Vish says, this is my show, this is Thoughtful Chats with HinduDad, but that means that it belongs to the both of us. So I'm sure we'll have some more concepts coming your way as well. I think from me, that's about it for this week. I know we're missing Bav this week. I'm pretty sure he's due back with us next week. Unfortunately, he had someone pass away in the family. So this week we decided that it's best that he spends that time with the family. But Bav, we missed you this week. We look forward to having you back next week. And I guess Happy New Year to everyone, right?
Yeah, man. Happy New Year. Stay blessed. Stay safe. And yeah, I look forward
to work, go to work. If you can't, then work from home. And if you can't do anything else, then go on furlough.
Stay blessed, people, man. And thank you for having me, bro.
No worries, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. Again, this has been Vish at Thoughtful Chats, Jay at HinduDad, and thanks very much for joining us. Have a great day, guys. Bye. Cheers.